And before I invite the next speaker, I would like to introduce her. She is an award-winning author, newspaper columnist, and a social media influencer. She's very, very popular on social media. On every conference that she attends, people look out for her. And even today, when she was coming in, I was pinging her again and again. Are you reaching? What time are you reaching? She was like, I'll be there, I'll be there. So I was just double checking with her because we really wanted her to speak today. Her articles have been published in reputed publications like the New Indian Express, Hindustan Times, India Facts, First Post, Swaraja, Jetwings, Pragyata, Outlook Traveler, and My Nation. She is an Ananta Leadership Fellow and is a member of IHAR, a think tank dedicated to research in Indian history. She is currently writing a book on Goan history, and her first Marathi book on parenting was published in Feb 2019, and I had the pleasure to be a part of that conclave as well. And I'm sure that her book was launched by Smriti Irani ji herself, if I remember correctly, and it's already on the best-selling charts. And last time when we were speaking, she said that I had some 200 odd books selling on the same day. I am profusely elated and honored to welcome Shefali Vaidya ji on the dais as she speaks on what can India learn from the Kashmiri Hindu Genocide. Thank you.
The people. I don't know what to say. I mean, Rohit has given a unusually profuse and effusive introduction. I don't think I'm worthy of it or not. But I would like to thank him for calling me here, because for me, in a way, this is coming home. Because like you, I too am a child of Saraswati. My ancestors were supposed to have moved from Kashmir to Gaudadesha, and from Gaudadesha to Goa and Karnataka. They are known as the Gaud Saraswat Brahmins. So in a way, we share a gene pool. So I think many generations ago, probably some ancestor of mine could have had blood ties with you guys. So for me, it's coming home. And for that, I'm very grateful that you could give me a chance to talk here. I don't know if you are aware, but I do lectures and I'm writing a book also on the history of Goa and what happened to my people. Like you, my people, the Hindus of Goa, were also displaced once because of the atrocities committed on them by the Christian missionaries from Portugal. And they moved from Goa, they moved down south. So from Goa, they moved to Karnataka, they moved to Kerala, they moved all the way down to Kochi. And when I go back and check the circumstances of what happened to them, why did they move, why were they forced to move, and when I compare it to what happened to the Kashmiri Hindus, it is a template. It is the same template that gets repeated again and again and again. Sometimes around 1536, the Portuguese first came to Goa in 1530. Bear with me, this is a little bit of Goan history, but you need to know, because it is the same template happening over and over again. So the Portuguese first came to Goa in 1510, and they defeated the Adil Shahi forces who were ruling Goa at that point of time. And then they brought with them Christianity, and they brought with them very militant missionary orders like the Jesuits and the Baptists. And after that, all hell broke loose. So sometimes around the 1540s, they issued an edict telling the Hindus of the island of Goa, which is today's old Goa, and the couple of places that they used to control. And they told them, you have 1 month, you have 3 choices. You can convert, 1, and stay back. You can leave, take everything that you can. And number 3, you can get killed. Tell me, how different is it from the Black Night and from the slogans that were shouted out from the mosques in the streets of Srinagar? It's the exact same words: convert, or get killed, or leave. So my ancestors too did the same thing which people of Kashmir did. It's not that they didn't fight, But the forces were so stacked up against them, and they had seen bloodshed, they'd seen people getting killed, they'd seen people getting tortured, that they had no choice. Even today, when I talk about this, people ask me again the same question: why didn't your ancestors fight? Why didn't they take arms, and why didn't they put up a fight? They did. People of my village put up a fight. They actually killed Christian missionaries also. They got butchered for it. An entire village headman clan of 12 people. The Portuguese called them for peace talks and they butchered them. And after that, obviously, and in those days, and we always have a problem of lack of unity, which is why even today the word bothers me when people talk about Kashmiri Pandits. It is not a Kashmiri Pandit problem, it is a Hindu problem. The Kashmiri Hindus were told to leave from the valley not because they were wearing a Janeu, not because they were Brahmins, not because they were Pandits, but because they were Hindu, because they were told that you are Kafirs, and because they wanted to establish Darul Islam. The same thing that happened to my ancestors. They were told to leave Goa not because they were Saraswat Brahmins. They were told to leave Goa because they were Hindus. They were the unbelievers, they were the infidels. They didn't believe the one God. So that is why they were told to leave. It is the exact same template. It happened to my ancestors in 1583. My own family had to leave their lands and they had to carry whatever they could, just the clothes on their back. And as long as I remember, in our puja room in my ancestral home in Goa, there is a small metal container which has some clay. And I always wondered what that was. And my father told me that that is the clay, that ancestor who was forced to migrate forced to move, forced to fly from his original village of Verna, he carried that mud, he carried that little patch of land, and he put it in his puja room, and it exists in our puja room. Even today, it reminds me that to be where I am, to be a Hindu woman today, somebody paid a price. Somebody decided to leave everything that they had because they couldn't fight. But they could have chosen to convert, and a lot of people did convert, just like in Kashmir. But they chose not to convert. They took a stand, and I am where I am because of the stand that they took. But it is not just my problem. It is not just the problem of Kashmiri Hindus. It is a template that is being applied to multiple places in India right now. Just yesterday, there was a news about 105 families from Meerut fleeing because the Muslims made it difficult for them to live there. It happened before in Kairana. It happened in Bengal. It happened in Kerala. There are a million Kashmirs right now happening in India, everywhere, in small places. So it is not, and every time I talk about this, and I'm sure it happens to you also, when you talk about what really happened, there'll be people probably from your own community, probably from the larger Hindu community, who will tell you, "Aap kyun gade murde ukhad rahe ho? Abhi to ho gaya na, it's past. Now think about the future." But how can you think about the future when somebody has stolen your past from you? When somebody has stolen your stories from you? When you're not in control of your own narrative? How can you even think of the future? You have to know the past. You have to heal the wounds. You have to take a dispassionate look to know that what happened to the Hindu community in Goa doesn't happen to the Hindu community elsewhere. It did happen to Hindu community in Kashmir. Then you need to take a stand that what happened to the Hindu community in Kashmir doesn't happen to the Hindu community in Kerala. It did happen to the Hindu community in Kerala. Then you say that what happened to the Hindu community in Kerala should not happen to the Hindu community in West Bengal, in UP, in MP. But it keeps happening because we do not recognize that it is a Hindu problem. That we always think of it as a Kashmiri Pandit problem. We think of it as a Goan Saraswat Konkani problem. We think of it as a Kairana Dalit problem. We think of it as a Bengal whatever problem. Which is why we keep dividing ourselves into small pieces, and we never come together and realize that it is a part of a greater plan to wipe out the last polytheistic living civilization in this world. I'm going to read out to you something that I wrote a long time ago when I was really upset about something. Unfortunately, I see that actually happening. It is the confession of the last Indian Hindu. The year is probably, 3010, maybe. First, they came for the Kashmiri Hindus. They killed the men. They threatened to rape the women. They did rape the women. They forced the Kashmiri Hindus to flee their homes and become refugees in their own land. The Kashmiri Hindus protested, but it was a Pandit problem, so I did not do anything. Then they turned Tipu, the tyrant and the genocidal mass murderer of Hindus of Karnataka, into a hero. And they declared a holiday in his honor. And they told the people of Coorg, whose ancestors he had massacred, that he is your national hero and you better worship him. The people from Coorg protested, but it was a Coorgi problem, so I did not join in. Then they filed a PIL against Jallikattu, a Hindu cultural tradition that involves running with bulls. People from Tamil Nadu protested, but it was a Tamil problem, so I didn't bother. Then they started converting Hindus in Kerala in the name of love. They also hacked Hindus to death. Some people cried, but it was a Malayali problem, so I ignored it. Then they burnt Hindu houses in West Bengal and forced people to leave their villages. They banned Durga Puja immersions to make way of Muharram. Again, some people protested, but it was a Bengal Dalit problem, so I was not concerned. Then they regulated the height of Dahi Handi in Maharashtra. People in Maharashtra protested, but it was their tradition, so I did not utter a word. Then they settled 40,000 Rohingyas. All the way, they took them from the Bengal border and took them to Jammu and made them settle there. The same Rohingyas who killed and dumped Hindus of Myanmar into a mass grave and forced their women to convert to Islam. I did not bother. You see, it was a Myanmar problem. And it was a Jammu problem, nothing to do with me. Then they banned crackers on the eve of Diwali. Some people shouted, but after all, it's a Delhi pollution problem, not my concern. Then they came for me, asking me to stop breathing because my breathing depletes O2 levels in air. I protested and asked for other Hindus to join me. Nobody did. Then they told me to stop cremating my dead because it was killing trees. Again, I asked for help. Nobody came. Then they told me that I cannot live in Meerut anymore because I cannot look a Muslim in the eye. I again asked for help. Nobody came. Because most of the Hindus were dead already, and the few who were alive told me to sort it out myself, as it is my problem. Is that what we want it to be? Is that what we want it to be? Do we want to be islands of one Hindu here, one Hindu there, one Hindu there fighting and not realizing the greater narrative? Every time I go into the US or Europe, I make it a point to visit the Holocaust Museum. Because I want to see how those people have kept the pain alive for so many years. How they insist that every child, every Jewish child that's born, no matter where, in Israel, in the US, in Europe, in India, wherever, but that child should know what happened to their ancestors. They never let them forget. They never let them forget the pain. They keep the pain alive. What do? We forget about the pain because there is always the future to think of, right? The other day when Rohit came to my place, when he was talking to me, he said something that was very poignant. He said a sentence. He said, pain cannot be transferred. And that stayed with me for a long time. Pain has to be transferred. Because if you have no pain, you don't have your story. And if you don't have your story, then anybody can come and tell you anything and you will just buy it. And then you will have people from your own community writing on Twitter that I went to Kokarnag and I shook hands with my Muslim neighbors. Wow, this is a real Kashmir. This is Kashmiriyat. There is no such thing as Kashmiriyat. I'm sorry. Kashmiriyat is a convenient word. And it's not just unique to Kashmir alone. In Goa, it's called Goinkarpan, the exact same thing. So the minute you talk about the truth, the minute you try to hold a mirror to somebody, the people, the left liberal narrative, they will always come and tell you, oh, but let's not talk about it. Let's talk about Goinkarpan. Because it is an identity that is greater than your religion. But I was persecuted for my religion. My ancestors were persecuted for my religion. So there is nothing that's greater than the religion. If you really believed in that regional identity, the whole Holocaust, the whole genocide would not have happened in the first place, but it did. There is no Goinkarpan. There is no Kashmiriyat. There is no Kannada pride. What we are seeing is a systematic persecution of Hindus in different places. It comes in different names. The perpetrators are different. In some places they're Muslims, in some places they're Christian missionaries, in some places they're communists, in some places they are the dhimmified Hindus. But the assault is there, and the victim ultimately is the same. If we need to fight it, we need to recognize that there is a greater narrative, and we need to join hands, because that is the only way we can fight this. It was in 1990 or 1991, right? So since then, how many films have happened on the Kashmiri Pandit story? How many great books have been written about the Kashmiri Pandit story, Kashmiri Hindu story? See, even I am so indoctrinated that even though I consciously try to use Kashmiri Hindu and not Kashmiri Pandit, even I, when I'm not thinking, I lapse and use the word Kashmiri Pandit, because that's a narrative that a left liberal want you to talk about. They just want to keep it to Kashmiri Pandit. So then it's not India's problem. Then it is the problem only of the Pandit community. But it's not. It is India's problem. It is Indic culture's problem. It is our dharma's problem. It is our problem. It is my problem as much as it is your problem. Because ultimately, we all are children of the same civilization. The same Sindhu Saraswati civilization. The same blood runs through our veins. When I was researching about what happened actually, I realized that the only state which has actually passed a resolution talking about the genocide of the non-Muslim people of Jammu and Kashmir was not an Indian state. It was the State Senate of Oregon in the US in 2009. Even today in India, we don't have a single good museum which documents Hindu Holocaust. The only museum that sort of attempts to make this is actually in Pune. I don't know how many people are aware of it. It started not by an Indian, it started by a Frenchman, Francois Gauthier. It's close to the airport. If you have the time, please go and see it. There he has actually documented, he has made galleries documenting each phase of Hindu genocide. Hindu genocide through the hands of Islamic rulers of the medieval ages, from that to what happened during the Bangladesh war and what happened to the Hindus of Bangladesh. The Kashmiri Hindu genocide is documented there. You won't find the pictures of Vandhama and Prankot and all the other places anywhere else, but you'll find it there. But it took a Frenchman to do that. We couldn't do it. We didn't want to do it because we don't want to face the truth. It is like, the Jack Nicholson character in what's that movie? It says you can't handle the truth. We can't handle the truth. We would rather live in our little cocoon. We rather tell ourselves that we are safe. Doesn't matter, it happened somewhere else. It happened in Meerut. It happened in Kairana. It's happening in Bengal. It's happening in Kerala. It happened in Kashmir. In Pune, I'm fine, no? My family is fine. My children are fine. My children are sleeping. My family is sleeping. So why do I need to speak up? I need to speak up because tomorrow it could happen to me, and demographic change is real, and when it does happen, it's going to come to me too. And at that point of time, there'll be nobody left to speak for me. Which is why we need to understand this greater narrative. And I'm very happy that Rohit has started this hashtag that it is India for Kashmir. It is not just a Kashmiri Pandit problem. It is our problem. It is India's problem. It is a Hindu problem. Thank you.